This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Oh, here, I see it. Got it.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Port Orford City Planning Commission to order, Tuesday, March 6th. It's 3:30 p.m. Welcome all. The discussion, I'd like to just check with the agenda here. Item D on discussion, process review and modification of existing conditional use permits. I don't think you have in your packets that were given you today the information that were, some of the information we were going to talk about. I think we're going to hold this over. Also, I think speeding on, well, we can check in with speeding on city streets. And I think item C is being addressed by what we're doing today. So that's all I really have to say, except it's good to see you all here. The minutes from February 5th are in the packet. Are there any comments or corrections on those minutes? Anyone have?
I do have a question. Under the minutes, public
Yes.
considerations, when someone tries to make a comment and can't, I mean, do we follow up in any way? Does anyone follow up? As I recall, Jennifer Hanner was unable to unmute herself. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
Or should we talk about a different way to submit questions or comments?
I don't know what to say if a person, if they don't sign on and we don't have a comment.
Right.
I
Okay.
guess a process that they were not able to sign on. I don't
don't
Yeah.
think it's related to the minute.
Could we use our microphones? I think my hearing, I played a show last night and I think my hearing is impaired. Thank you. Or maybe we could turn that up a little bit. Anything else on the minutes? Thank you.
You want a motion?
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of February.
A second.
It's been moved in second to approve the minutes. Let's take a vote. Commissioner Burnt,
Yes.
Commissioner Lovendall,
Yes.
Commissioner Head,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawton.
Yes.
They have been approved. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have public comments. If anyone has public comments on any of the agenda items, please speak here. And if there'll be a time for the E-Clampus Vitus, if you're the gentleman with that, there'll be a chance for that. Anyone online have anything to say?
There is no one online.
No one online. Okay. Well, let's move on to item 5, the E-Clampus Vitus historical marker. Please come up and state your name and where you live. And
Hello, my name is.
please speak into the microphone so that we can make a record of this. And also my hearing is a little shaky.
Hello, is that on now?
Should be on.
Are you recording?
It's on.
Is it on?
Turn it up a little bit.
Okay.
You
can
do
hear
have to kind of lean into it.
Can you hear me now?
You can bend
Yes.
it like this.
You can move that to where it's
There we go.
comfortable for you, sir.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Darren Ferris. I work at the Port of Port Orford. I live here in Port Orford, just down the street a couple blocks. I've been a resident of Port Orford about 9 years now. I'm here today to represent E. clampus vitus with the purpose of obtaining a marker up at the top of 5th Street up there by the Castaways. I believe you all have a packet of the picture kind of with a cone sitting where it's just where that tiled in piece up there that looks down to the port. It's just up north, to the west of it towards Castaways, right where that car went over a week or two ago. So if my marker would have been there, they wouldn't have been able to crash through there.
There's been 2 cars go over there.
Well, yep. But anyway, that's where the marker is being requested to be planted. I have started this process 3 years ago, and I'm just now getting to the point to where I had to go through the Parks Commission to ask, which I got to still have a meeting with them Thursday, but to ask them if that property there would be suitable for it. And then I've been to the city talking with Pat Cox, the mayor, about this, and he told me I had to come through you folks first for this blessing, or how the procedure works, I'm not too sure. If we have to pay permit fees to have this done in the city of Port Orford, is it something that you folks feel you could be on board with to see this come through? There's pictures of what the plaque should look like. It's a gray and white picture. I think a gentleman kind of leaning over. It's about 3 feet tall, and then it slopes down, and it's made out of tile on the side, and the plaque itself would be made of granite inscribed into it. And the verbiage is on the front page there, I believe, that explains that's what we would have on it. I've had the Port Orford Historical Society help me with fact checking a lot of the information and the dates and everything. And everything there has, I have, proof of, that it's been researched, or, the founding information of it. Anyway, I don't know the procedure so much with you guys, what you were expecting from me, or what I'm expecting from you guys to help me with this project. We have a dedication date of June 15th is when we would like to bring the Brotherhood, the clampers, into town. Probably be an estimated of like 150 clampers coming into town, renting motel rooms and such. We will be having Edson Creek up there rented out for camping for our special event coming into town for the placking on June 15th. The public is welcome to come and listen to the historical reading of the marker and then be part of the presentation on June 15th. I work at the port. I find the port very important to the community and to me, is in the fact that there is a lot of neat history that's gone on there. There's more history I've learned than I can even put into this plaque. It's had to be condensed and shortened and figured. And I've had several different people in town read through it and figured that this was a good, representation of what we're trying to achieve. This positioning of the plaque, where I figure up the hill there by Castaways, and the height of it, it will not obstruct the view of people being able to sit in their cars and still see down to the dock. The clampers, we've done several, I've got a list here of several different podiums throughout Oregon and California that we've done. Here in Port Orford, out there at the Grange, right there at once you pass the Grange, there's a marker there that we've done. That's a big, tall cobblestone marker, and it talks about the gold and mining history of Gold Beach and the area here. We've also done down at Lex's Landing and Gold Beach, right there in front of their store. We've put up a plaque there representing the Rogue River mail boats and all that, and the historical data of that. So that is what the clampers are about. We are about preserving specifically the gold mining history and any other relevant history of that has been in the past. We are dedicated to taking care of widows and orphans, and we do a lot of charity, raising money as an organization for uh, uh, Christmas funds, bicycles, stuff like that. We really try and take care of the community with our trash pickups along the highways, everything else we do. Sorry, I'm getting a little flustered here, but it's a real good brotherhood organization with the Port Orford Historical Society giving the blessing on this, and I'm asking for your blessing. If there's any fees or permits I need to have to go forward, I believe my next step is to go to the Parks Commission next week and before them and ask their permission and that we have the right of way of that little piece of property. And from there, I will still have to take it back to the city and ask their permission to finish with this presentation of this marker, the building of it. There are dimensions there drawn out. Like again, I said, it's a nice small package deal. It ain't the big gaudy thing that you see out here at this, that blocks the view. With that said, I'm open to hear what your comments, what you think I should be doing to make this a reality.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ferris. I think, and just to give you my take on what you're doing here, or what we can do, is so we can't. All we can do is make recommendations to the city council as far as this kind of a thing. If it was a land use application through the city or something that was given to us, we could deal with it. But I think it probably be a recommendation is all we would be able to do, or a denial, I guess, or whatever.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not on the planning commission, but I'm going to ask a professional question. So was there no prior tribal use before the port was established, or is that?
As far as the indigenous Indian people
Right.
and everything else, there is a comment in here, in the verbiage of them, we did include them. There is a lot of history about the Indians, how they were treated in this specific time period when the port was being developed and everything else. We did put that little comment in there about it, but
It's in here?
there is a little line in there that
It's
speaks about it.
1856. Just the survivors were
But
removed.
my goal is that the port is, the functioning of that. Yes, I feel like, the Indians, everything else should be kind of more of the Battle Rock Center over there. It's such a sore subject with everybody that how they were really treated. And I have Indian blood in me and everything else. And I feel, it kind of might have been a raw deal, and it brings up a lot of pain for people to have that put in their face, that yes, the Indians were here, the way the white men treated them wasn't very good. And that's a sore thumb so I figured that we'd try and keep this off of the stigma of the port because it'd be so difficult to incorporate with what I'm trying to achieve. Does that make sense?
I'd like to ask, have you approached the port about putting a plaque down there?
I have, and that's got really sticky with Commissioner Webb and a couple others that they felt that I wasn't trying to include the Indians into this, and it was never about that. When I first started, this was just about the port was where my goal was. I didn't even realize that the Indians had been involved, with the port. And the most thing that really happened with the Indians at the port that I understand was they were loaded on ships and sent away to other reservations and everything else. It's not a pretty part of the history of the port that.
So is there a year when that happened? Or is that what
Yeah.
this is? This
1850.
Well, they were shipped off, but yeah.
They were marched all the way from hundreds, thousands of them were marched up towards Umpqua, up towards north.
Right.
And many died and were abused on the, it was kind of a sad story if you really get into listening to it and everything else. And most people just, don't want to hear that part of it. They're, oh, Indian's cool, but when they hear that there was so many injustice and everything else to it, and that's a different whole subject that I think needs to be dealt with. And I've been working with Rick Fox with the presentation, the whatever the historical side.
Rick Cook?
Yeah, Cook. I mean, that's what I meant. And he's made a couple plaques or monuments that still stand over at Battle Rock, and they're crumbling and falling and everything. And we would like to talk more about Clampus coming and helping him restore his markers over there, making them out of granite for him and everything else, with the history of Indians and everything else. But that's a whole different ball for the Indians over at the Battle Rock Station to update the monuments that they do and the verbiage signs and everything else over there.
Can I make a comment?
Actually,
Oh.
Commissioner Lovendall I was going to
trying to-
recognize her. Thank you.
I was going to ask if you had gotten tribal input regarding this particular plaque, because as uncomfortable as our history has been, and as much as we don't want to often face that reality, I think they need to be included in this project, and not just through, I just think that that's an important thing.
Mr. Cook is a Indian survivor, and he is well in the community of the other tribes over in Cave Junction and everything else. And that's where a lot of our Indians got relocated to, was over in Cave Junction. So a lot of them Native Americans still live in Cave Junction, descendants and such. And he's been over there and talked with them, and they love the idea that any representation they can get, they love it. Give us, let our names, let our words be spoken is the way they feel. But they're cool with what I'm doing, as far as we added them into this, the little short verbiage, but with the idea that someday Clampus Vitus would go over to Battle Rock and help them restore all of their markers that are already existing, that are decapitated or falling apart and such. And that's been discussed in our meetings of Clampus Vitus at our monthly meeting, that we would be willing to come over with our materials, our rock, our signs, and help them rebuild. So that's what we do. We like preserving history, and that's our main goal.
Commissioner Head, you had something to
Yeah,
say?
I think I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good spot for something like the spot you've chosen. But I, like Sarah and anybody else who's asked about it, feel like that one line about the Indigenous survivors being shipped away from the port is probably not enough of an acknowledgement. And I think it could be a really simple addition of one sentence, maybe even at the top or the bottom, like we acknowledge the previous Indigenous presence in this space, or something. If you could consult with the tribes on, and maybe Rick can help you connect, just some way to acknowledge, as uncomfortable as it is for some people, I think it's an important part of the history of the area. So it could be as simple as just adding one more bullet point or one sentence.
Well, that's the thing is what is the other thing I actually can say about the port is they were put on ships and sent away. There isn't, they didn't employ them.
Right, but just an acknowledgement that, that they were in this space, and, just that they're, what's that? Yeah, that they were there, that they're, we acknowledge that the tribe, whatever Kodama Indians who initially inhabited this place, or something, just some simple acknowledgement. I think.
I agree. I think that if you could say something in the beginning about this is where the port started from. That
Battle
basis.
Rock incident that moved into the community.
Not even an incident, just to be able to say these are the Indigenous peoples who were here originally,
Before
from which the port evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Something
the
like
port was
that.
a
I
port.
would think you'd begin with that as your first
Mhm.
statement, and then the port evolved.
Just
as
we acknowledge,
Mhm.
the Indigenous peoples that occupied this space before the port existed. Something simple like that, and I think the tribe.
Something to the effect, before the white man got here, this land was
Yeah, this land initially was
you know,
inhabited
with the right
by.
verbiage. But
And the tribe could probably guide you on the appropriate language there. And then my other comment is, I'm an editor, so that's what I do. I think that some of these bullet points need some commas in some places to make them more clear. Would you be interested in help with that?
yeah.
Okay. And also I was going to suggest a colon after each date because the third one, 1856, 1439 Indigenous, it's not clear. It seems like that's a date, you know? So if you just put the date and then ... and then what happened, after, separately, I think that would make it more, I could do that on here for you.
I would love the help with that.
Okay.
I've had 4 different men look at it and proofread it, and that's, I guess we're just not as good.
You need a
not
fifth
being
person.
sexist or anything.
She's
I'm just
good.
saying I've had 4 other guys look at it, and
Yeah.
I thought,
It reads really
I would
well, but
appreciate it because it's
Mhm.
going to be etched in stone.
I know
forever.
it needs,
For me,
there's some of
needs
the,
to be correct.
some of the longer bullet points need some commas to make it more clear.
Well,
Yeah.
any help you could give me with that
Sure.
would be excellent.
Commissioner
Uh,
Byrne, I'm sorry. I want to roll on this because we have
Okay.
Other things.
a number of items here to discuss.
I,
Commissioner Byrne.
so I have a couple of comments. I just retired from a local land trust, and we talked at great length about land justice and Indigenous people. And I'm going to have to say I disagree with a land acknowledgement. It's action items that speak loudest. I would go to the website for Eco Trust and read what they say, because you'll get an entirely different perspective.
Is it an Indigenous perspective?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other comment that I have is, this is pretty lengthy. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I think that something like this would be better served in a format that people could read at the visitor center, and just posting a plaque of some sort that gives like the when the port was first established. If that's your primary message, is when the port was established, and that to me seems more logical. Yeah, I think this is a lot of information.
Well, this started out with an old piece of plywood that was on the old cannery, and it had been there for over 25 years.
Mhm.
And it had the port history written on it. Somebody hand wrote it in. And then when they were tearing down the cannery, I saved that piece of plywood, and I still got it sitting at my house. It's all weathered, checked, and everything else. And I took the words off that, verbiage and dates and everything, and that's what I submitted to the port commissioners the first time. Oh, no, fact check. No, this ain't right. It's been on the wall over here for 25 years.
Yeah.
So 3 years later, what was originally has been twisted into this version. I really like the first version that was on that wall there with the tweaks. There was the name of a ship that came in there was different from the country origin. We made several fact checks that worked out, submitted it again, and it didn't go. So this is actually probably our 4th drafting on this. And I've asked, the Historical Society, I've asked the city planners to help a little bit with it. And this is where I've gotten to. And I really appreciate, and I think I can make it happen, where we start out, like she was saying, with, in the beginning, this land was inhabited by the Quattawam Indian tribes. And then in such and such year, the settlement of men came in, and then the port was established and take off that way.
Yeah, I understand too that this is about the port, not about the lengthy history of how it got to be a port, but just that first
I
acknowledgement.
feel in my
would
heart
be
they
good.
do deserve to be honored and included into this. This is part of Port Orford's history. But I don't want to get people all twisted up with we were mean to the Indians and how bad and everything
No.
either, you know.
That's
not
another
what-
history to
Yeah.
be told, but
What
I
hap-
understand what you're trying to do here.
How big is the front, is the face of it? I can't quite tell from the,
The dimensions are there. I think it's going to be about this wide, about that long.
okay, so there's enough room for all the words.
It starts out about this high on the ground,
Mhm.
slopes up to about here. And
Mhm.
that's about something about this big.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of room for our verbiage, and there's plenty of room for an additional line or two. Not a lot, but I could skip
Yeah.
that. Started out in the beginning, you know, the Guatemala inhabited this lands, and in the year of such and such, you know, the white men came in and the port was established. You know, kind of break it off that from there without going into, and leave that one line in of when.
What does yours say?
Yeah.
I would like to speak here. To me, if this sort of a history of the port, if a plaque were to be put up, it belongs at the port down below on the water.
Hmm.
So when I drive up and I sit at that point a lot, and I enjoy looking at the waves. I look for whales. I look at the port. I look at the Redfish Rocks, and I would not like to be distracted by a sign up there. I think that's one of the things I really like about that place is that I get to have my imagination, and I'm not drawn to anything. So I think something at the visitor center or something at the port itself, that's really where it belongs. It's a port. It's about the port.
But
So that's just my opinion, sir. Is there any other discussions about this? Crystal?
This is a different topic, but you were mentioning the rogue Indians, but when we notify tribes, those aren't the ones we're told by the state to notify.
Well, the Guatemala have elders, I believe, over in Cave Junction also.
Well, I mean, I don't care if there's extra ones, but I don't want to skip the Sayusla and Coquille because every application that we have that might be have digging or anything like that in it, that's who we have to contact.
Is the road?
The Sayusla.
Sayusla
And the
and
Coquille.
Coquille.
It's CT Clusi. It's the Coos.
No, but the one that we have to contact for here is not them. It's the Coquille
Yes.
because they act on behalf of the Sayusla.
Right.
I know it's
But there's also slats. There's,
What you're talking about for like,
the ones that we're supposed to
Shippo?
be connecting with on when people want to put stuff.
for historically
gonna
and
be-
culturally important.
Well, we're just supposed to let them know if somebody's doing a subdivision
Right.
or anything that's a larger land
Big.
development. Yeah.
right.
Well, I disagree with Greg. I think it's a good place to have that because you are overlooking the dock. It is low, so it's not like it interrupts the view shed there. So I think it's appropriate. You're overlooking the dock. This is about the docks and fishing. So I like it. I think it's a good idea.
So maybe if some people feel it's a good idea, certainly I believe everyone thinks that the tribe should be notified and have real input into this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if that was done, we would probably look at it a little closer.
Okay.
And the port might also feel differently about it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Okay, I'm understanding that I need to look into the Eco Trust, input more from the tribes, get more verbiage into this to start out and going. I am up against a timeline. It's going to take us about a month to get the actual plaque, engraved into the stone and all that. And we're trying to get this done by, the June 15th. We've already got all the campgrounds reserved and everything else. But I still have to go before the Parks Commission Thursday. And then at the end of the month, I have to go back through the city.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, I will have these points we have talked about in this verbiage again. And with your help, if you can help me re-edit again.
Yep.
And then you could kind of sneak it through this committee again or end of the
Just
month,
looking.
No sneaking.
and we would know that you approved it and, would push it on with the parks to.
Right, like Greg said, we really would just make a recommendation to the city
All we would be
council.
able to do would be
Yeah.
make a recommendation to the city council, and that would be done here at this meeting.
Mhm,
Would be done officially with all of us present.
mhm.
Okay, well, with that said, I appreciate your time, and we're trying to do a good thing.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't fit everybody's opinion, we're going to try and get there. We're going to try and add something that everybody feels it's our community. It's going to be written in stone. I got to get it right. So with your help and your permission, I will leave it at that.
Should we put it on the agenda for next month, or do we need to make a determination?
If we get a
today?
request for that, yeah.
Okay, well,
Do you think? Yeah.
I'm trying to expedite this, but I will come back at the first of March, April. I can come back to the first.
I believe it's April 2nd is our meeting.
Okay,
Mhm.
I can try and get back on the agenda, and I'll come back in with the improved verbiage of this and see if we can't get a little closer to what you feel like I should be looking at, because I'm in agreement with you that, this needs to be done right.
Right, and you can let the tribes decide if the land acknowledgement is appropriate or not.
They will be being notified. I'm sure Mr. Cook will be able to handle getting in contact with them very easy. And then as soon as I leave here, I'm going to go.
Are you
I
referring
think
to
probably a
Rick?
statement, for us, some sort of a letter from them or some information from them so that we know what their position is on this would be very helpful.
But you're talking about the Rogue tribe, right? What tribe are you talking about?
Any that were involved. I was under the impression most of this was Umpqua. The Umpqua, the Quatamont, and you said the other one.
The
sorry.
Coquel.
Coquille,
Well,
Siuslaw.
so there's 3 different tribes that were in this area that really should be contacted and asked their input.
Actually, if you're going way back in history, it's the Tututni tribe.
Yeah.
Because it was
Rick could probably
Yeah,
help
Rick
Philip
Cook
streamline that.
is great with all of that information.
I don't know who's been
Yeah.
assigned or whether our information's even right.
Yeah.
Okay, so a letter of consent or a recommendation from the tribes would be appropriate, that to appease you that I've made the contact and that they are okay with our verbiage and moving forward with this.
Thank you.
I think
Yeah.
that would be good for some members.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're okay with the verbiage and who it is.
Mhm.
There's some woman that we usually contact. I can't remember her name.
Oh, you thinking of Kathy Rippey?
Maybe.
She's gone, but somebody replaced her.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Is
Can
that
I say
so?
one last thing? Rick, my name is Jen. Have Rick reach out to me about the editing part.
All right.
He'll be able to put us in touch.
Well, I thank you for your schedule and helping me do that. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Okay, planning matters. Technical assistant grant from DLCD. This is our main business today.
All right, so I guess you want me to
Yes, Crystal, would you?
start this? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have in your packet, it's called page 5 in the packet. And it's the technical assistance grant. And this week's or this month's, it looks like this. It's called staff report.
Yeah, it's page 2. Maybe
Oh,
the one that he gave us. Is that
Okay.
different, the one that you printed out?
it's the same information. I think it just got incorporated with different numbering. Mine was probably, I don't know, who knows?
This one.
All right, anyway, it has,
Guys.
so what I do when I take a topic is try to take everything out of the code. This is not how it's going to look when it's put back into the code.
Mm-hmm.
But I figure you have to have the whole picture of that topic. And so what you have in here are excerpts from what we have in our code right now, and that's in regular print, just regular font. So you look on the first page and you see manufactured home, has only changed one word in the first paragraph. But then there's another manufactured home park, and that has quite a few changes in it. So the bold is the new language. And the thing to notice here is that now manufactured home park, manufactured dwelling park, manufactured home, and mobile home park are kind of connected in different ways, which they never were in the past. So we no longer have just a manufactured home park and a mobile home park. They are combined. So mobile homes and manufactured homes, that doesn't mean you have to have them both in the park, but they're all treated the same. And the same with prefab. If I recall, prefab homes, prefab dwellings aren't even allowed by our code. Not saying that people aren't doing it, because I don't know what a prefab, how it looks different than something else. But now they're in the same line at the state.
Sir, I just had a question because I went through this and read this.
Can you use your microphone, please? I'm sorry.
I have a question regarding prefabricated structures.
I have a lot of questions about it.
Oh, good. Well, then,
I mean,
I'm not.
go ahead.
Feeling a little slow there. It does. I read in another section that they were defined. It doesn't define them as a home. You know, you can have a structure that's like a shop. That's a prefabricated structure. So I found that, and then in some places it says dwellings, and some it says prefabricated structures.
Dwelling,
The
it says,
state
well,
has included them. That's the only reason I did, because they have included them in their definitions of manufactured dwelling park or manufactured home park, whichever one you want to call it. And then prefab homes are right in there as one of the things that you have in there.
Right. And so prefabricated structure is solely a home, or is it it's a structure?
It's like a garage
Or a
garage,
non-living space.
Non-living space.
Right.
garden.
So it could be like for schools, sometimes they bring
Right.
in prefab
Right.
structures.
I had a question, Chris.
So I don't know, maybe this is not written right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly.
I mean, would you have a prefabricated structure? I mean, we're talking about dwellings and places you live, and then we have.
Well, I had the impression that they were allowing people to live in prefabricated.
It could be an ADU. It could be one of those little cabin kits, you know, or a shed, a big shed that's brought in from somewhere else that's turned into a dwelling.
I think this whole thing is very confusing.
Yeah,
I mean, this whole thing
Uh,
the hours you spend trying to sort out this stuff. And I don't want to just copy somebody else because I don't know if they've sorted it out
Right.
properly.
Yeah.
True.
Well, isn't there a definition of what a home is that has to have
Right.
plumbing, electricity,
well, it does show
bedroom?
on page 6,
closets.
it calls it a dwelling.
Yes, that's two different, yes.
The prefabricated dwelling versus a structure. Structure,
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, could be a storage,
Storage
maybe
shed.
even an office.
Mhm.
But then this specifically calls it a dwelling.
Oh, well, yes, but I'm talking about on page 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, on
Oh, yeah.
page 6, it calls it a structure.
So
And
you
a
guys,
dwelling.
the question is whether there is such a thing as a prefabricated dwelling?
I believe there is.
Well, I thought there was
I think
too,
that
but
would
what,
maybe be a research topic.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
there are prefab homes.
I think
Yeah,
they're
that's
called
what
a
I
read.
manufactured dwelling though, isn't it?
I
Or
don't know. I mean, you like, what is that?
except
company
not
that has
in the
very
Oregon building codes and 446. Well, you look at,
Oh, yeah, there's one
this,
right over
this
here.
part that I put in here on page 5 under manufactured
Oh,
home
yeah.
park.
Yeah.
That came right out of 455.
or that's where you're seeing prefabricated. I thought you were talking about on the next page. Okay.
But maybe I've interchanged them.
more
When I
manufactured
shouldn't have.
dwellings or, yes, I believe that should be, I think prefabricated structure is what it is on this, in its own definition. Means a building or subassembly which has been whole or substantially part manufactured or assembled.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much what we had,
But that's not a,
Something.
except I took off, does not include a manufactured structure.
does not,
And made it does not mean a manufactured home, because I saw that in other words, a prefabricated structure is not necessarily a prefabricated home.
Right.
Right.
Not necessarily a
That's
dwelling.
Prefabricated home could be a prefabricated structure.
Right.
So I just.
So prefabricated structure is an umbrella term, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's habitable.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
I think the word dwelling or home is the, so perhaps that should be taken out.
Well, that's where I saw dwelling.
Prefabricated structure
On
part
here.
of that
Yeah, but we're talking about.
Yeah.
manufactured home part
Yeah.
definition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Could use
I am
that.
not sure, because I think that came out of
Oh,
law.
unless it, except,
I think it
unless it's
came out of-
defined in ORS
I'll go back to
455010.
ORS 455.
If you just clear that, I'm sure you can clear that up.
I hope
You
so.
will know that.
I think it gets, you don't want to screw it up worse. than
But
it
that's a
is.
point. That is a good point.
Yeah, it could be, it might, supposed to be, might be dwellings, because we're talking. yeah,
Whatever
might
that
be
is
appropriate.
what it'll be. Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you. I had actually a question on that same paragraph. The last sentence, no manufactured dwelling is to be located on a single platted lot located within a subdivision as defined in ORS 446.
So
What does that mean?
that came straight out of state law, but I too paused at that. I think maybe it means no manufactured dwelling in a manufactured home park should be on a subdivision lot. In other words, if you're in a park, you're part of a park, you're not part of a subdivision.
Oh,
Because see, there's manufactured home park subdivisions and there's manufactured home park.
so you wouldn't want to be in, so the subdivision,
Subdivisions and parks,
and 446 defines a park?
I meant to look.
I believe so. I wasn't this confused yesterday, but
Well,
yeah, but
This is a-
the more I hear about this, the more it.
So
always
is
makes
home and dwelling being used interchangeably throughout this
I think I
document?
have done that.
Okay.
Right.
Should we standardize or maybe define that dwelling and home are
Well,
interchangeable?
I mean, yeah, and that could be, but I mean, the reasoning was that we have a whole thing in our code called homes, and then other stuff comes to me and it says dwellings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been trying to make it consistent with what we called them. And so I did interchange home with dwelling on occasion, but some of this other stuff, the more I hear about it, the more I'm confused, because I thought I had it worked out.
well,
I
yeah,
will
so
do
that-
some more.
clarity on that one last sentence, I think would be good for me.
I like the word dwelling. It seems to encompass more types of
It's
housing.
very specific.
Well, we could change them all to dwelling possibly.
Yeah.
Let's see how many we have.
Structures we have?
Well, we have all kinds of definitions. We have 2-family homes. We have 3-family homes. We have, so,
Maybe we're gonna have to live with a mix.
or
for
just
now.
change them all. you know,
Joseph has a question,
But then they're going to be all through the.
comment.
Well, I have a comment if that's all right,
Yes,
Chairman.
go ahead.
So my reading from this last line is, like what Crystal said, the idea is to prevent people from taking a manufactured home park and then splitting it up into a subdivision and then making each one of the individual, mobile homes its own lot to then resell.
I think they can.
That's what it
Oh.
seems
I
to
think
say
they
to
can
me.
do it. They can change a mobile home park to a subdivision through a state code, but they can't take one lot
Mhm.
and change it to a lot. So, yeah,
Okay, well, that makes sense, yeah.
I mean, because that happened about 15 years ago, that they started allowing them to take mobile home parks and changing them to subdivisions.
Okay. But
And
you can't whittle
what would
away
the
at it.
point of that be?
Because nobody wanted to have the mobile home parks, but people were willing to have their little piece.
People wanted to own their little section.
Well, and people weren't taking care of the mobile home parks. I mean, there's this whole thing that there's all these outmoded things like community water systems and everything for subdivisions that don't ever last very long. Nobody wants to take care of them. Streets, all these things. And then they want the city to do it. But when I saw this, I thought, oh, they don't want us to start parceling it up. And that's why I used the exact words that they were using. But it did give me pause because I thought, like, what does this mean, really?
So, or as chapter 446 could probably provide more clarity
I
too.
just
Yeah.
pulled it
Yeah,
up, and
but
I don't,
446 has so much stuff in
it
it.
has a
Oh.
lot of stuff, but what section of 446?
And you can't put the numbers on there because then the legislature changes the numbers the next year. So I just like have started only referring to the main.
Chapter number. Mhm.
Under manufactured home
gosh.
definition, it refers to, they must have plumbing facilities. Is that too broad? Just to use plumbing? Does that
Well,
mean if they
where is
just have,
that
it's,
page?
let's see, page 5, where it's,
At the very bottom, second to
no, it's
last
the
line.
top, not the top, I'm sorry. It's the third paragraph from the bottom where it says manufactured home means a structure constructed for movement on the public
So
highway.
that's straight out of our code.
So that's out of our code. That's what it says in our code.
So I left it as
Well, it's
much
the
as I
same
could,
thing.
but that doesn't mean we have to.
I'm just,
Plumbing facilities is water and sewer. I mean, that's
Maybe
pretty clear.
okay, is that clear in the code? So can someone come in and say, well, I have plumbing, I have a kitchen. Will that suffice?
Well, that's one thing that's used in planning as a separation from whether you have a dwelling or not. So like a guest house isn't allowed to have, well, it can have plumbing, but it's not supposed to have kitchen. So once you put a kitchen in something, a full kitchen, then it becomes another
So
dwelling.
that's why cooking and plumbing. That constitutes a dwelling.
Sleeping, cooking, and
Well,
plumbing,
yeah.
plumbing could just be a sink.
and intended for human occupancy.
Yeah, could it be
Used
just a
for
kitchen and
residential
then
purposes,
they have an outhouse? Is that considered plumbing?
not in a city, I don't think.
See, I'm just kind of
'Cause
being a devil's advocate here because we get people coming in that could be
Well,
challenging that.
we wouldn't be the ones who would decide that. It would be the building codes, I would think.
Yeah, anything that's built is subject to the building codes, which are very specific about everything. We're just naming something here
Okay,
that is very detailed in the actual building codes themselves. Electrical, plumbing, ventilation.
Indoor toilet, flushing toilets. Yeah.
And I think, are you after like toilet
primarily, yes.
primarily?
Yeah.
Yeah, fixture units. I mean, they get down to the detail.
I think what she was saying, plumbing is so, doesn't identify that you have to have a
Sewage.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Sewer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It could just be water.
Could just be sink.
Okay.
Is that what we want?
I wish I was more helpful. I worked on this not only this year, but in 2022. And it doesn't become more clear the more you go into it, because I don't think that the state laws are in sync with each other either. So,
And county laws as well.
well, and then a lot of cities, I see stuff in their codes that they've just done,
Mhm.
and they're not right either. So we just hope that I mean, maybe the less we say, the better. I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, let's.
So going on, so there's more definitions. I will look at some of those things again. We do have this fabricated structure thing is in here only because it's a prefabricated structure. We have other things in our code that refer to prefabricated structures that are used in our commercial zone and things like that, and prohibitions. But in the past, we didn't have anything that accommodated prefabricated homes. Whether we were allowing them or not, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we ever talked about it, and we don't have the final say on those things. Usually people just go, if it's an outright use, and get their building permit, and we have to do the planning clearance that it's an outright use. So I don't know. So
When we
moving
talk
on.
about-
Oh, okay.
So one more question. When we talk about manufactured home park, means any place where 4 or more manufactured dwellings or structures. It seems to me, so does that mean that anyone on their own property can put 3 manufactured homes on it, or is
Not
that
unless
defined someplace
manufactured
else?
home parks are allowed.
Okay.
Well, 4 or more. Oh, I see what you're saying. Can they have 3? I don't think they can in our code. But
Because
mean,
there's a limit on how many
we wouldn't allow them.
dwellings can be on one tax lot.
Right. And we don't allow that.
No, I'm aware of. I think it's, I believe it's currently 1 dwelling per lot. And then one of the things that we've been looking at with the code revisions has been ADUs
Yeah, I saw
for
that.
additional dwelling units. So that would be then 2. But one of them could in theory be a duplex, or both of them in theory could be duplexes, I think.
And mobile home park says the
Yeah,
same
not
thing.
one. Yeah.
The state, yeah. Okay, so then we go to supplementary provisions. And these are provisions that explain more for uses. And so, as you can see, we had some manufactured home park language in there because it's in the regular text. But the bold is to try to add the things that the state is permitting. And then you go into the ones that are proposed to be taken out. The first one, A, is this 1,000 square feet.
Yay.
So if we take the 1,000 square
Mhm.
feet out of here, there won't be any question. And the state told us last year that we should not have it in there. But then I saw another thing that came from the legislature said that you could have it in there if you wanted.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
we don't want it.
Yeah.
And if we do have it, my understanding with the city attorney was always that we were required to have 1,000 square feet in a house too. I think all of that broke down like in 2022 when nobody wanted to believe that and nobody wanted to talk about it. So
No, we discussed that in 22.
I don't mean you guys didn't want to talk about
Well,
it,
we didn't, we decided we did not want to have that 1,000-foot.
but I'm pretty sure that they were approving houses smaller than that, and which was inconsistent with what we had done before. Because there was people saying that this was only talking about manufactured homes, but the whole purpose, and it's still in the state code that you have to treat the 2 of them the same. They were wrong to say just because it's in here, we shouldn't have to do it for something else. We should have just taken it out of here if we didn't want it.
So another question I had was, are tiny homes considered manufactured homes?
Tiny homes is a whole different,
We're not there yet.
Okay,
We'll get there.
so it wouldn't be under manufactured homes.
not yet, no. I mean, it might be a manufactured home, but tiny homes are not. The state building codes, I think, goes to 400. They don't go lower than 400 or 450 feet, one of those 2. And so we're not even, I do not think, unless they've changed that last year. I don't, unless they're on a chassis and stuff like that.
Joseph has a comment.
If I remember correctly, it might be from county and not from state, but I believe the way they handled tiny homes was basically however the tiny home was made,
Right.
that's what it's considered. So if it was manufactured, then it's a manufactured home. If it was stick built, then it was a stick built home. And they
Yeah.
just ignored any previous size requirements and brought that down to 450 feet, but they didn't actually define what a tiny home is.
Right.
That's my understanding.
So yeah, tiny home would be under 450 feet, I believe, is kind of how it's interpreted.
And it can be constructed in many different ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Should define it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was 400 or 450, but I think
It's
yeah,
one of the two.
Okay, so then on page 7, so we keep taking out those definitions that we had for manufactured home requirements, A, B, C, and D.
And it looks like the thermal envelope is the one piece that they want to keep.
They're saying it's optional in this second thing that came from the legislature. So do we want that? That's my question.
Mike,
It's okay.
I had a question, what the low-rise residential dwelling code as defined as 45501, what is the low-rise?
I looked that up a couple times.
I'm sorry, I should have done my homework and looked all that up. A couple things there.
I don't know. It's what it's whatever they define. It's pretty, it's a codes thing.
I will look, I'm going to look that up.
Have it pulled up if you would like me to read it off.
Yes, please.
The low-rise residential dwelling code means the adopted specialty code prescribing standards for the construction of residential dwellings that are 3 stories or less above grade and have an exterior door for each dwelling unit, but are not facilities or described in ORS 443.400 or transient lodgings.
So it's basically an apartment?
Wouldn't that be defined by the building heights
That's pretty
ordinance?
broad.
Mhm.
I think what it's trying to say is it would be like an apartment with shared facilities, like an apartment building.
Co-housing.
Yeah, more like a dorm than a
Uh-huh.
traditional apartment complex.
Okay.
So if you look at the last paragraph on 16.04, the proposed language, and then where I put in this optional stuff, I think we would be able to take care of it by what is bold-faced in 1716.040 in the first paragraph that says about external thermal envelope certification requirement, instead of talking about this low-rise residential dwelling code thing that we don't understand. Because it's
okay.
very technical. So
Yeah.
if it's okay with you, I wish that, it takes so many notes to remember all this stuff, but the idea of putting both of these in there was to let you see how this has been transferred.
If they're talking about the
Into
same thing, yeah.
Well, it's talking about the thermal envelope.
Mhm.
So
Your optional paragraph on page 7, is that what you're talking about? The
yeah,
second paragraph?
I
Mhm.
think that is taken care of in the
Seems
first,
more concise.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you check on that and
And
that's,
is deemed to, so that's not my language that it came from. Okay, then I have these notes from the planner.
Mhm.
Some of this we don't need, I don't think. We don't need to say that it's going to be under 3 acres. I mean, at this time in our lives, we've never had anything where you could build something for 3 acres in the city. It could go out into the urban growth boundary possibly. I don't think we have 3 acres anywhere. that's together.
There are some properties, yeah, but very few. Pat Ross's property,
And
2 acres.
yeah, the Cartwright, Vicky's property is
And
5
so then
acres.
these are the standards that they're saying we could use on anything we want to. If we want them to have a pitched roof, we can say this. So that's a question for you. The second one in gray. Manufactured home shall have a pitched roof, except that no standards, pitched roof with,
There are
anyway,
a
to
lot
make
of
sure
dwellings
it's
with
that.
flat roofs that aren't pitched roofs, so why
So
would that?
We don't have to have it if you.
Yeah.
And flat roofs aren't great here, but I mean, I probably is up to the homeowner, right?
Yeah, I would think.
Okay, let's not have it. We don't have to. So, okay, then local government may not subject manufactured homes or prefabricated structures within an urban growth boundary. That means within the city, too. Or the land upon which the home or structures are sited to any applicable standard that would not apply to a detached site-built single-family dwelling. So that was right out of this thing that came from the state.
Good.
That
So
makes sense to me.
that kind of settles this thing about size. Whatever size, if we want to put any size on anything, it goes on everything.
Mhm.
So at one time in 2022, the Planning Commission was deciding not to have a size standard. I think they were debating maybe 700 square feet at one time, and we didn't ever adopt it or anything. So you could just let it go down to whatever building codes permits, which Joseph and I think is 450 feet.
Why limit it? Yeah. Why restrict it?
Mhm.
Are you okay with that?
Mhm. And I have another question with regard to the thermal requirements. If someone wants to put an older manufactured home on their lot and the thermal requirements aren't what they are,
I think it says in here,
There's some dates.
to the performance standards. I think it's maybe in the definitions where it says that was allowed at the time that it was built.
that seems to be relevant.
Here it is under mobile home on
What
page
page?
5 and 6, bottom of page 5 and the top of page 6.
Had some dates. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. 62 to 76.
And met the construction requirements of Oregon mobile home law in effect at the time of construction.
Effective, okay.
The removal of wheels does not alter this definition.
Okay, so when I say okay, it doesn't mean this is all settled. It just means like, okay, we'll move on. And and I'll look up some of these things again. So under conditional uses, then we talk about mobile home parks. So we should be calling it a manufactured dwelling park. And then we have as the first item, manufactured dwelling, mobile home, prefabricated dwelling park may be permitted as a conditional use if it meets the requirements of ORS 446 and 197. 197 is a planning code, which I would understand better than 446, which is the building codes and goes into a lot of detail.
I looked at it.
And then, and all of the following standards. So we took out, okay, so we added Oregon State Building Codes has authority for plan review and construction of manufactured dwelling parks.
I was wondering if the wording of that, was that your wording? The Oregon State Building Codes has authority.
Yeah,
The Oregon State Building Codes are is like a book of stuff. I was wondering if you wanted to say something like standards for plans review and construction
standards.
Yeah, I had that
shall
circled
comply with
too. The codes
Plan
don't have
review and
authority.
construction. I like that better
shall comply with Oregon State Building Codes.
because we have the requirement for plan review, they have this, what
Right.
you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, then on the top of page 8, manufactured dwelling parks shall not be used for transient occupancy stays of less than 30 days. This is getting at, we don't want,
We want affordable housing.
Yeah, 30 days.
yeah, I know.
Some people come for the summer, they come for 2 months.
But they're not, it's not a RV park. I
But
mean,
then
that's a,
would we want more than 30 days? Why
well,
just
because a
30 days?
manufactured home in a manufactured dwelling park is a home.
It's a home.
Yeah.
It's on a foundation.
No, I agree.
So I mean, it has to go with our vacation rental requirements, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
This
they
is a- we're
couldn't
talking
use
about-
it as they couldn't use it as a vacation rental
No,
because they wouldn't have the permit. I mean, they'd have to apply.
They would have to go through the process of being licensed as a short-term vacation rental.
So would we say of less than 30 days without being approved as a vacation rental?
I would think we would want it certainly more than 30 days.
I don't-
Only because the intent is for it to be permanent housing, correct?
No, they're not allowed in
in
R1
parks.
or R2.
Mobile home parks.
Oh, they are by
Manufactured
conditional
dwelling
use.
park.
They are by conditional use in R2.
Mhm.
So the idea of this was to
Yeah.
keep them from just becoming,
Well,
to become,
vacation
from becoming a vacation
Mhm.
thing.
Right, but why would we even want them to be there only 35 days or 60 days?
I don't think we're able to regulate how, as long as it's not short-term vacation rental, we're not able to tell a property owner how long their people
I
can
think
rent.
you're right. If they're
Yeah.
in the zoning where it's allowed,
Yeah, unless we
I don't think we
change
can
the
say-
other,
Hmm.
yeah, we would have to change
and
either.
if it was in R2 where it is allowed by conditional use, well, we could say that it couldn't be allowed if we wanted to, but
Yeah.
We would have to change that.
Well,
part.
I mean, in a park, I don't know.
Again, I think we're trying to establish as much permanency in our housing as we can. Perhaps this is one way we can do that.
but we need to take a bigger picture. We need
Yeah.
to take
Yeah.
There are other codes
civil
involved.
rights
Mhm.
into consideration. I think that so conceivably there could be a mobile home park in an R2 by conditional use.
Mhm.
And we could specify that there couldn't be.
Because this is not a subdivision, this is a park. So you can have a manufactured dwelling subdivision, which has all the rights
Oh, I see.
of a, they have all the rights of a single family dwelling when they're on their own subdivision lot.
Because that's on their
with-
own property.
Right.
So
So-
wouldn't that be up to the park to, the individual parks to determine whether or not they allow short-term vacation rentals?
But they aren't permitted.
Yeah.
So one thing that would come into play would be parking.
Mhm.
If they were allowed, I guess they would only have one parking spot, probably. But
Can we say here that mobile manufactured dwelling parks are subject to whatever our whatever our codes are for short-term vacation rentals? They have to,
Well, I don't think that would be ours to say. It would be the owner, wouldn't it?
The owner of the park.
but
Right?
they would still have to go through the appropriate channels to have a licensed short-term vacation rental because there's a maximum.
Well, that's an
in the city
interesting
limits.
question. I mean, it's an interesting topic
Yeah.
because we just did the RV park and he says he wants it for long-term stays, but
That's right.
there's a but he might do it for short-term stays. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
He was hoping that it would be 30
I thought he
days.
said
was
not,
hoping.
yeah, I thought he said not less than 30 days. I thought we had
He wiggled
got
down
there.
He wanted both, I think. And we didn't say it could only be one, did we?
We don't have a control over that.
I think he wanted it to be whatever we were hoping it would be.
Whatever would work.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Um,
You understand.
but he couldn't guarantee that, so
He
uh,
could.
Well, why can't we just say that mobile home parks or manufactured dwelling parks are subject to, I mean, don't we get to
Well,
determine?
they would be in any case.
In any case.
In any case, if we don't say anything, they will be subject to the code of our short-term rental code.
Right,
And they would have to apply for a license.
right.
right.
And there'd be subject to a cap if it was in R1 and R2.
Mm-hmm.
If it was in a commercial area, it wouldn't be subject to a cap, but they could get a license if they met
Mhm.
all of the.
But they're not, are they allowed in both R1 and R2?
Not in R1.
Not in R1, only in
No.
R2. I'm sorry, only in R2. There could be, by conditional use, there could be a mobile home park.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say 30 days, then they wouldn't be short-term rentals.
If it was more than 30 days, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, if it says it won't be of less than 30
Oh, good
days. So
point.
that takes away their,
Mm-hmm.
The ability
the
of,
ability to be a
Right,
short-term
yeah,
rental.
I don't know that we can do that.
Well, you can limit you can say parks shall not be used for transient occupancy of less than 30 days. Why can't we
Or
say that?
unless they apply for a short-term rental
I mean,
license.
well, then you're sort of like,
opening it up.
yeah, I mean, why even have
Yeah.
it there in the first place?
Why even have what?
If it's less than 30 days, then unless they apply for a short-term rental, why even bring it up?
Why even give
It's
them the
it's
option?
like one or
Right.
the other,
Right.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should think about this.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm also trying to think of a case where that could apply. There's one on 9th Street, but I'm thinking it's a senior.
Oh,
Park.
by Agate Beach Road?
Yeah.
It's
at
it's
the bottom of Coast Guard?
55 and above.
55 and over.
On
So those are manufactured dwellings in a park.
In a park.
Right. I mean, I'd be curious to go knock on the door of whoever manages the park and ask if they have any kind of policy for renting, if the people own the
homes.
the dwelling, but not the space that it sits
The
on.
property, yeah.
Who
That would be
governs that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they own
The
the homes.
I think
Right.
They rent the property.
They rent the space.
our short-term rental code, it assumes that the owner of the property is the owner of the house.
right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you rent, then the short-term rental permit the license is through the owner of the property.
Yeah. So that could bring up a whole can of worms.
Should we get some legal advice on this?
I think we should think about it. Yeah, and if anybody knows a lawyer or whatever, we don't have a city lawyer right now, so.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can consult with Daniel Kearns.
I don't know. I don't think we have the budget to do that, but we can look some of this stuff up.
Mhm.
I think that Crystal's sort of on the right track to try to keep this as permanent housing. I mean, that's our goal.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we just say you can't have it for transient occupancy, it has to be 30 days. I don't see that's a problem.
Yeah.
Crystal?
I don't think it's a problem.
Crystal, did you find this somewhere else or did you just say this?
I can't remember anymore. I mean, I would have had to put a note by everything, and
Requirements of this
I didn't
Why
do
not?
very
We can
much of
set
this on my own.
we get to decide, right? I mean, can we just say 6 weeks?
I mean,
Joseph had a
I
comment.
didn't just sit here and try to think up things to do, but I don't know
It
where.
probably came from somewhere.
It
then.
maybe comes from our own code. No, it doesn't, because it's bold.
Joseph?
Joseph had some.
That's occupation.
So, I hate to bring it up after we seem to be coming to a consensus that it's okay. But what if we change it to something like manufactured dwelling parks shall prioritize stays for more than 30 days and only permit, shorter stays if you can't find someone to stay for the 30-day period.
Not going there.
No,
Yeah.
not going into it way too much detailed.
That's nice.
Too many loopholes.
That's a nice thought, but I
Yes.
think anyone who wants to take advantage of it could.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
They
fair
can
enough.
take
enough.
advantage of it anyway right now, because who would know?
Yeah, no.
I mean, if we do it this way.
So is the question whether we go 30 days, 60 days, and just not talk about STRs?
Well, I mean, anybody can go to a rental and only stay 30 days,
Right.
but then they have policies like saying you pay your first month and your last month. So a person who only stayed 30 days would probably be paying for 2 months anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, that's,
So
Well, yeah.
Actually, I like that idea because people wouldn't be looking for something that the requirement was 60 days just to come visit for 30, right? So it would be a disincentive for people to come
Deter.
short term
Right.
instead. So even by putting it to 60 days, I think that would have an effect.
And most people, I mean, we could put that in there, might have that effect, but most people own those dwellings and they're not, well, I guess I shouldn't say that, not using them as rentals, but they do. They do in that 55.
Not-
I don't really know in manufactured dwelling parks, because throwing manufactured dwellings in with mobile homes, it changes the whole,
Right.
yeah, but that's the state that did that. And that's what the legislature's been up there doing, is changing all these rules. And that's why they're so confusing, because they're not changed everywhere. They're not in sync with each other. And sometimes I just want to go to ORS 197, but I don't think they've put everything in there yet.
Uh-huh.
That's where it is, ORS 197.
Yes.
Again, I think I'd like to move on. I'd like to cover more stuff and come back to this one. We're not going to and get more information.
Let's put a pin in that one.
We have,
Joseph,
there's
can you-
arguments both ways.
Are you guys taking notes over there?
I am. I'm going to look this up.
And I'm
Okay, so
also-
then we go into what they have to provide to be able to do it. And this is really helpful
Mhm.
because we don't currently have anything. We had a guy here, he did never do it, but he wanted to do a manufactured home park. And I thought, oh my God. And Jessica and I both saw it. He's just gonna go out there and not put up any trees or landscaping or anything. It's a conditional use permit. So when it came to you guys, you would have been just like we were at the RV. But so I went to the RV planning that you guys did with David Smith. David, that's his name, right? For the
No, David.
recent RV park.
Yeah.
Oh,
Clark.
David Clark, yeah. And then I tried to incorporate the things that we needed to be able to work with them
Mhm.
on the RV park for the manufactured dwelling park, because just because you're going to have, I mean, this person was talking about 90 manufactured dwellings in a place. And when I saw their plans, luckily they didn't do it.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe it would have been good for housing, but luckily they didn't do it because there were no trees, there were nothing, there was
Yeah.
just like barracks. And I thought, well, that wouldn't be good for Port Orford. But so I took a lot of the stuff that we required for the RV park and tried to put it in here.
Mhm.
And that's where we get all this, what they have to submit. A site plan showing adjacent properties, streets, utility easements. We already had in there that they had to have a parking spot on the site, and then half of one for visitors and stuff like that.
Do we have to provide, is telephone required? anymore?
No.
Telephone is in number
Oh,
6.
I thought we took that out. We don't need that. Television and
And I
telephone.
don't think television is either.
Yeah.
Provision, yeah. I think I took it out somewhere else, not here. Okay, and then number 7 was in there, and number 8 is kind of the same as the RV park, what we did on that. Number 9, saying that the setback areas can have vegetation. Number 10, stormwater rules comply, they have to comply, and also erosion prevention and sediment control. Then in your code, this language about prefabricated structure is there.
But this isn't a dwelling. This is a structure.
Structure, correct.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't live in it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have anything that says you can't live in it?
So I didn't change anything on that except on page 9. This was so weird. It had temporary prefabricated office structures.
Right.
That doesn't make sense because most of them probably wouldn't be office structures.
They
Do we
can.
want to say prefabricated, like, not habitable, but the word office is useful in the sense that it's for people as opposed to a tool shed or a storage shed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you define for human use or,
So maybe we call it a workplace or a business.
yeah.
Oh, and this isn't a habitable
No, it's
because
not
this is talking about tie downs.
Yeah, they're talking about portable classrooms
Yeah.
or well, no, not work shacks.
Yeah, workshop.
So would
Job
we
site
say
work shacks.
temporary prefabricated structures, not for residential use?
Right.
Or not a dwelling, or maybe we should stick with dwelling.
Temporary prefabricated commercial structures or temporary fabricated non-dwelling structures.
Except that the other time we've mentioned prefabricated structures, we're assuming that they're not.
Oh,
So,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
yeah.
Or can be occupied as a dwelling.
Temporary.
Can't be occupied as a dwelling.
Well, it just says right here, A is for a construction project or similar event.
That's if you've got one of those little offices.
Maybe we,
Construction office.
And then it says they don't apply to fabricated structures placed on property for less than 30 days.
No.
This is already in the code.
Yeah.
so you can do it for less than 30 days. Oh, right, like for if they're having a fair or something
Yeah.
and they have an office for a
They
fair.
bring in some. Yeah.
Right.
The office is not really a bad idea in a sense.
It's so weird though.
I know it is.
It wouldn't be, I mean, none of those things would hardly be offices.
Well, the work shacks are.
Mm-hmm.
Work shacks are offices.
What are offices for what?
Like you, on a construction site, that's where the boss is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that,
Rolls out his plan.
yeah, and we do have stuff like that.
I would get a lot more done if I had a
Yeah.
separate
We could
office.
just leave that, I think. It defines something maybe poorly, but it defines it in a category that's kind of useful.
I have a question.
don't know
Can
how
we
else
go
to-
back to 1B, prefabricated structure? The prefabricated structure shall have all axles and wheels removed. Is this something that if we're considering tiny homes on wheels and axles, if
No, it's not a habitable.
This is not.
That's
this
what
is
we're
not,
saying.
okay.
No.
But a prefabricated structure could be could be made to be brought to code potentially.
It could potentially,
Yeah,
Get a building permit.
but it would
Yeah.
have to go through the insulation.
right, everything like
tied down.
wiring
I think we better
and,
define prefabricated structures and prefabricated
I
dwellings
do too.
separately.
Maybe
What
we
if
do
we
that in the
use-
definitions.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're probably right.
because
What
if,
if we use the word
I have to go
commercial?
back to this and,
Temporary prefabricated
Five.
commercial structures. Would
Temporary
that be
Prefabricated structure.
instead of office,
Oh,
Yeah.
commercial,
I don't know.
not
I
to be
see.
used as as a habitable dwelling or
are you
something.
going back to the original one?
I'm looking,
Or are you going?
I'm looking at how he used
Oh,
it.
there, that was the first mention of it, yes.
I mean, we could say that a prefabricated dwelling, I'm just thinking about these prefab sheds and stuff. They're built with 2x4, 16,
Yeah.
inches on center that could eventually be brought to code as a dwelling,
Mhm.
Then someone would have to go through all the,
Yeah.
permitting to make it a habitable.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
really hard.
So,
Can I just say one thing while we're mulling over it? On D,
Are we done? Here? Did you get what you wanted? I'm going to hold
Wendy?
Crystal up just a
She's
second
gonna
because I want to,
well,
you were
we need
you were
to
talking about
flag the
defining
definitions.
prefabricated structure.
Well, prefabricate, they never,
no,
the state never defines prefabricated home, and yet they have them in manufactured home parks.
Well, a prefabricated would be like the tool shed in a mobile home park.
Well, is it?
Well,
They make prefabricated homes too.
yes, but they're not. But it's not a prefabricated. It's a subset of prefabricated structure, a prefabricated home. There'd be plenty of.
So I'm going to go to ORS 44510 and see what it,
Okay.
if it
Mhm.
really is called a structure or a home.
Okay.
yeah, I pulled it up.
And then we have to sort this out throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was confusing to me.
Dwellings or structures.
Mm-hmm.
They're two different.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
But that came out of the state law.
They've got to have a clearer definition.
So I have to go there.
Yeah, that would be good to clear that up.
And
I
then
have-
I'm sorry. What,
I have-
Joseph?
ORS 455 010 pulled up. It does not have prefabricated dwelling or prefabricated home. It just has prefabricated structure. Part A means a building or subassembly that has been in whole or substantially part manufactured or assembled using closed construction at an offsite location to be wholly or partially assembled on site. B does not mean a manufactured dwelling.
Okay, so it's a structure. It's a
Not a dwelling.
A
garage.
structure that could be converted into a dwelling, but it's not.
It could be
dwelling.
turned in, but it would have to go through.
So we're going to
Right.
leave
Have to- proper
prefabricated
channels.
structures in here
Mm-hmm.
because that's what the state law.
So inherently, it's not a dwelling.
Yeah, I would say it was not
So I think we would say prefabricated structures as defined by ORS 455-010.
Okay. But so you were saying that there couldn't be 4 of those on a so if you had 4 prefabricated structures like garages,
Where do you see that?
Where are you, Greg?
it would have to be a manufactured home park.
I don't know.
I like the
It
or.
doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
where are you,
Which?
Greg?
Where are you?
I'm going on our original definitions,
Oh.
1704.30,
Okay, I have to.
manufactured home park. Is any place where 4 or more manufactured dwellings or prefabricated structures as defined in this
That's, see,
that are relocated, then it's called a mobile home park, a manufactured home park. But that doesn't make sense because the definition of a prefabricated structure does not include a dwelling
It can't be habited.
or a home.
Right.
Well, we can't sort that out ourselves. We don't know. We need the experts.
I know, I hate this. I hate it because it doesn't, you just keep looking. And looking.
I know.
All right. So then,
Can I just say one thing? And this is easy. This is, I promise.
Okay, yes, you were up next.
This can be achieved by using similar, you're saying that they have to, appearance has to be X, Y, and Z. Wouldn't it be better to say this must be achieved by using one of these things instead of can? Because you
Where are
say
we?
can, anytime you say can.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 9, D.
2D,
B?
D.
2D,
No, not 2D.
temporary.
Top of the thing. Under
Where's-
C.
It's 1D.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, an appearance of being.
Yeah, just
Prefabricated.
change that to must be achieved by using one of these similar materials. Because if you.
Must be.
Oh, must be achieved.
Yeah.
You're replacing can with must.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
all.
Well, and that's the other thing. Do we really want that in there? Because nobody's checking that.
Why do we dictate that anyway?
Because I think what they do is people just kind of tack on some tacky structure that it just is unsightly and that's why.
I know, but is Joseph going to have to look at all those?
I
See?
don't think,
Well, even if we don't, there's nothing wrong with saying that you need to do that. I mean, okay, so we don't do it, and then we have people just tacking on these
Yeah, I
things,
see.
and it looks, and it's,
If we're talking about building things to code
yeah,
and thermal quality, then this pertains.
to it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it
Well-
pertains, but those others you know when you see it. This is something that, I mean, I don't mind if you want to put it in there just as a guideline,
Yeah.
but I don't think it shall be achieved
Yeah.
because we don't have anybody to check it.
Yeah, we can't even keep people from living
Living
in
in
trailers in the crab yard.
outhouses.
We're gonna start enforcing
Just-
paint colors.
Maybe we should say maybe we should leave can be in there like we've had.
Yeah.
Then why have it? Because it really doesn't have any teeth, actually.
Yeah.
If you really want things to achieve what you were trying to say here, then you put it in. And so if you go, so if you can't, you just say they have to do it. I mean, and people will follow guidelines for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you can end
You
up
wanted to
with-
say this shall be achieved?
I just think it shall be
Must,
be
yeah,
achieved
must.
by using one of these things. Because
This
Must.
is achieved.
I disagree.
It doesn't hurt to put it
We'll
in
never be able to enforce it
precisely,
anyway.
and people are going to do what they want to do regardless.
But all it
I
takes is a
think that-
neighbor to complain about the color because they don't like
This
blue.
isn't
or
the
something.
color, this is
And then we're
similar.
back to this. I
Color
just think-
has,
It's similar
is-
color. So you paint your house chartreuse. And you add on something and you just wanted something similar. I mean, that's all they're saying here. It's siding material. I mean, you wouldn't do.
Well, one thing, we're not to blame for this wording that's in here if we want to leave it in, because it's already in there. And nobody's ever complained about it. I mean, they complain about the fact that nothing matches or looks good.
It's
but-
never gonna be enforceable, so it doesn't matter.
Well,
I
and
think,
then,
I think we should leave it like it is
I do
because
too.
the first sentence says, it shall be placed on the parcel in a manner that has the appearance of being an addition. Leave it at that. If you say, here's what I'm afraid of. We say this must be achieved. If we say that, somebody's going to see that when we have these public hearings.
And sue
say,
somebody else.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think people are going to go, I think yeah.
Well, I'm envisioning having a nice structure that's maybe blue and has wood siding, and then they bring in another smaller, nice structure next to it, and might be green but has a different siding, but it's brand new, good condition. What's the problem?
That might not be a problem. People probably would not have a problem with that, even though this is, but you have people that will bring in, I promise you,
I know.
you will, if you don't have any guidelines, you will not, I guess that's what, I just think it's our guidelines.
Commissioner Lovendall,
Yeah.
there are guidelines. It says it shall be placed on the parcel in a manner that has the appearance of being an addition to the existing structure.
What change are you?
And then it says
proposing?
this can be achieved by similar paint, siding, materials.
What is your proposed change?
Mine was to be,
So
must
are you
be.
saying
This
just
must
strike
be
that
achieved.
last sentence?
I beg your pardon?
Are you suggesting we strike the
No,
last?
I'm just saying,
sentence?
just leave it like it is. Just let it, it looks about as enforceable as it would no matter what we said. And I think if you look around the town, there probably are a huge percentage of properties in the commercial zones that already are not in compliance with this.
Yep.
And I think that um, we should go after those before we try to make it any more strict.
Joseph, did you have?
It just doesn't seem fair.
Well, also, it's all subjective. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, like we had a house that we sold in another town and they tried to match the paint to the house with the garage that they added. It looked worse than if they would have put on a different color for the garage because it didn't match. It was like, it just had two unmatching things that didn't look like anybody intended it to be there, but they were obviously tried to match it or they thought they.
Also, we're kind of splitting hairs here
Yeah.
because we have
Yeah.
people living in squalor in
Yeah,
town.
I would like to
Strike it.
focus on the things like the number of short-term rentals in neighborhoods like we have been doing, and really come down hard and really clear and firm on those things. And some of the other things, let them kind of just, I mean, this looks to me like it's doing the job, and if it's not doing the job, any wording is not going to change it.
It's not broken.
I think we need to pick our battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to be such a big deal. Like,
Yeah,
good
you
grief.
said not hard.
No, you're gonna find
A lot
more
of people,
stuff.
well, this is what, you know.
I mean, we can take a vote on it and move on. I'd like to just move on, and we can take a vote on it if.
No, strike it.
Just leave it like it is.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Step.
I mean,
Okay.
Now look at the residential zone on page 9. So I tried to fix that. And it's the same
Oh,
question.
prefabricated dwelling.
So I'll have to, okay, I have to see if there is such a thing. I think there is because I saw them on the internet.
Prefabricated dwelling. No, that's it. Prefabricated. You said it.
Structure.
Structure.
Mhm.
no, it's fine.
Okay.
I like it.
So prefabricated dwelling could mean also a tiny home as well, could fit in that, under that umbrella. Yeah.
Until we get to tiny homes and decide what that is. Yeah.
Right, and then we have to come back and fix it.
And this is in compliance with section 1716-040. And this is not a park. This is a dwelling. And it's an outright use. In other words, you can use different housing types.
You're right.
Okay.
And I don't know, if it's even proper to have it in here like this. I was thinking that when I was doing it, because it seems like it should be single-family dwelling or duplex, including stick-built manufactured home or prefabricated dwelling.
Right.
Would you like that better?
Sure. They seem connected. Is this meant to include all of the potential options for residential dwellings?
Yeah.
Okay. There was one thing, remember we were coming up with ideas at the last meeting and we were like tiny home on wheels, stuff like that. And I know this is probably a building code thing, but people are converting shipping containers into.
Well, I think that's another question.
Yeah, I
And
just
I
want to
was
get it on
gonna
the radar.
Have a picture of a shipping container when we started our public meeting,
Okay.
just so that people,
Mhm.
let them see, let's see what they say.
And do we need to explicitly list it here, or would that fall under the
Well,
umbrella?
I mean, if we permit it, we can either permit them or not permit them.
Right.
I think that's another topic too. I think we need to.
There are so many alternatives.
I know. I just want to make
I
sure
think
that,
now
yeah.
It would be hard to list them all. Can we come up?
Well,
with
part
a
of
general.
the idea is for us to come up with ideas of things to include.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure, do they need to be included in 17.12.010, or,
So-
do we need to come up with a separate list somewhere, be brainstorming the list and, so
Well,
that.
this is like a preliminary look at the codes, right? I mean,
Other alternative
I was
structures.
just trying to
Yeah.
put in the things that we were talking
Yeah.
about, and I already had ADUs in there, so I just left it in because I
Right.
can't have so many versions and not.
Do we have a 1716-090?
1716
Strawbell.
040
Straw bale.
090.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
090,
with
where
the-
is
the
that?
ADU, we don't have an ADU section yet.
Yeah.
No, that was,
long as it can
that's
be
something
permitted.
That's what
we
it's
talked
saying.
about before.
Okay, 090 is what
But it
it's
was easier to put this into
saying. Okay,
the,
yeah.
something that was proposed. Okay, so this number 2, manufactured homes. This is 1716 or 040, manufactured homes on individual lots is the title. So, and then it says those things that we already read that we're going to change. In other words, that ABCD, where we're not going to have all those rules and not that
Mhm.
1,000 square feet, things like
I'm
that.
sorry, where are you, Crystal?
I'm still on number 2, and I was explaining where this fit into the code, and it's 1716 040, and that is called manufactured homes on individual lots. And I'm not even sure if we need that anymore, but I don't know how to take it out because
I just want to just say, we have 17 minutes left
Mm.
for our meeting.
okay. So let's just keep going.
Let's.
Well, you can just look these over.
Mhm.
Can I ask the difference between a residential care home and a residential care facility? Is one a commercial, more of
Well, a
a?
residential care home is,
home?
it can be in a neighborhood. It's somebody cares for people in their home,
Right.
and it's permitted by state law.
Right.
And a facility is permitted by, it's probably a conditional use in our code.
Mm.
Because it's R1, and so that's what
Yeah.
I'm
So
concerned about. Because a facility.
we don't have any choice about the
They're both in
residential
outright
care
use.
home. But we do have a choice. If it's is an outright use.
It's an outright use for care home and care facility, and I just.
I don't,
They're both in permitted outright.
Outright.
Yeah.
so if we don't have, so that's another question. If we don't have, I mean, a residential care facility,
I know what.
no, I mean, a home,
Yeah, I know what.
that's up to 5 people or something. You have. But a facility is probably something where we should have some standards.
That's right, because it's a residential R1 zone, and
Yeah.
that could be.
That would be maybe not be where in somebody's home. It would be a place where people come to work.
Correct.
Come to work.
So where is that on here?
Or,
Number 8?
It's number 8 on
Yeah, that's-
page 9. That was.
and I would think that would want to be a conditional use.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
too. And do we define,
Unless the state, so I mean, I'm just going to put a note, maybe a conditional use unless state requires. And I don't think they do.
do we have a limit on, in residential zones, how big a residential care home can be?
The state does.
What was-
The state, I think it's 5 people,
Okay.
something like that.
There's
And
no,
we don't have any, it's just like a
Lakeshore. Mhm.
childcare facility, childcare in your home that goes up to 12 or something like that, I think.
I've pulled up the definitions for both residential care home and residential care facility if you would like me to read through them.
Oh, you did find a definition?
Yeah, I found the definitions from our code. Let me just zoom. Actually, I don't need to.
They comply with the
Residential
state law.
care facility means a residential care facility, residential training facility, or residential treatment facility as defined in ORS 443 dot 400, licensed by the Oregon Department of Human Services, that provides residential care alone or in conjunction with treatment or training in combination thereof for 6 to 15 individuals who need not be related to each other or to any of the residents of the facility. A residential care home means a residential treatment or training or adult foster home licensed by or under the authority of the Oregon Department of Human Services that provides residential care alone or in conjunction with treatment or training or in combination thereof of 5 or fewer individuals who need not be related to each other or any resident of the residential home.
So we don't have any choice on either one of those. We have a choice
Just the
And
number
that
of-
definition keeps a huge one from coming in there. That would have to go somewhere else. And I don't know if we have the place for that. Well, it wouldn't be a facility because a facility is
You can have a home, but
up
not a
to
facility.
16. No, you can have I think you can have the facility. Because they had to do this because people were trying to keep out like residential homes for treatment and things like that where people were mentally ill or something like that. And they would go into a great big old house and the neighbors would all raise heck. And so the real question, I think we have to have that, but we don't have to have residential care. We don't have to have a bigger one, but I don't know where we have the bigger one. So I guess that's a question.
Yeah.
Like
I
a
mean,
larger.
Yeah, the care home I get.
Yeah, but where do we have the larger facility? What if somebody wanted to build a larger facility? Where would that go?
Yeah, that's my question, yes.
Is number 4 something we already have in the code, the 12 months, the last one?
What page?
9, very bottom, number 4.
The numbers
How to
go
seek-
9, 2, 3, 4.
Mhm.
Recreational vehicle temporarily used to relieve a hardship.
For a period of 12 months.
Yeah, that's in our
Is
code.
that already in our code?
Yeah, there's actually, it's not in the planning code. There's a chapter 8.
Isn't the,
I think under number 9, the numbering is off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
It goes
starts
8,
going
9,
again.
2,
yeah.
3,
'Cause
4.
I tried to change the numbering.
It's a word thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Formatting
the
issue.
one is over here, one. One is there. It's just over on the right.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, I see it. Church or school.
Yeah, it's by the church or school.
So we have ADUs we'll deal with.
Yeah, that'll be later.
up.
Mm-hmm.
And then cottage cluster is also in number 8.
Something we'll deal with.
Mm-hmm.
The second number 8, and we'll deal with that. Planned unit development, we'll deal with that.
Lot size.
And it looks like that R2 are going to be similar to the R1,
Yeah.
except for manufactured dwelling park in C. Under a conditional use, that would be allowed where it wouldn't be allowed in the R1.
Right.
Oops, that was me.
No, I didn't.
Same with the condition. Commercial zone. Manufactured home. Okay, once we figure out,
I don't think we have, I think a hospital, wherever we have hospital is where a larger residential, larger care facility should be. So I don't know if we already have it or if we don't. I was looking.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Wherever we have a hospital permitted is where we should have a facility that's for more than 16 people.
Ah,
Hmm.
right.
Is that, what is sanitarium?
Yeah.
Is that what I think it
Like,
is?
where is that?
It's under 6, hospital, sanitarium, retirement home.
And what-
17.
What,
It's
17,
2R.
okay,
Sorry,
that's it
So
then.
the end of 2R.
Yeah, so
Oh.
at least we do have it.
And it's also in the 4C. Sorry, I was looking in the 4C. It's 10 in R2, and then it's 6 in the 4C.
Okay, so we have a couple places that I could go. I don't know if sanitarium is
I'm not sure that's the
That's a
updated
antiquated
verbiage.
term.
Yeah, I might want to update that.
So we're going to be here pretty soon.
Let's just change it to spa.
Don't read it. I don't want to read it anymore.
Sanitarium,
Speaking for myself.
It's from the 70s.
yeah.
I don't know what to say.
I would strike.
Okay, so let's Let's leave this.
So, yeah, we're pretty close to wrapping it up here.
Okay.
I already wrapped mine up.
Oh, you
Okay.
wrapped yours.
I don't want to
Well,
look
let's
at it
continue with the
anymore.
meeting.
Okay.
All right, well,
A cabinet shop.
that's wrapping up
Okay.
planning matters, number 6. Thank you all. Thank you, Crystal.
Are we gonna pick up where we left off, or are we just gonna?
I think we'll pick up where we left off
All right.
You
Yeah.
mean next time?
Yeah.
Another time?
another time.
Yeah.
Next
I
time.
won't be here, so.
You're not going to be here
Wow.
next
No,
meeting?
you might,
Not-
you might
We'll
hope we
ramrod
pick,
everything through.
you
the-
might hope we pick it up next time.
Okay.
It's, if it's, August.
Discussion items. Planning clearances approved since last meeting.
None.
None.
I have a question for
Yes.
Joseph. What are people bringing, we passed a part of our deal for planning clearances that they would bring back their clearance to you once they get approval. So
From
that
the county.
From the
Mhm.
county. Has that been happening?
I
Yeah.
think since we passed that, we've had one full building packet submitted and they did bring it back.
They did bring it back.
Yes, just a normal planning clearance doesn't require county sign off those. And so those, wouldn't come back to us, obviously.
Yeah.
Does the city get notified when construction is completed and the certificate of occupancy is?
I believe
done?
so. I'd have to double check. Every month I get a list of permits that were issued for the city, for the county, which would include the, ones issued for the city. I just usually just double check that there isn't any that I don't recognize being permitted. So I haven't actually sat down and been like, oh, does it say occupancy or building finished? The main ones I'm looking for are building permit, permitted.
Mhm.
But I will double check that and get back to you next time.
Thank you. Speeding on city streets, did you want to
Yep.
give us a brief?
Just a quick update. I had a meeting with Traffic Logics, and it was supposed to be on the agenda for the last city council meeting, but their meeting was too busy. Joseph and I decided to table it. They had the audit and the water's presentation and, all kinds of other things. So I have a presentation to give at the city council this month.
Awesome.
And then at the following meeting, Traffic Logics can join in and answer any questions or, also give a presentation.
Great.
So, but anyway, if you want to hear all about it, it's in the presentation.
Okay. Okay, good. Affordable housing, that's what we're doing right now.
Do we want to talk about the flyer real quick?
The flyer, yes, let's talk about the flyer.
Let's look at that
Oh,
whole page.
good. Thank you. Thank you. And that
let
looks
you
great.
start.
Yeah, so the top got cut off, but we can work that out. New housing options for Port Orford, ? It was a statement, and then Greg suggested rephrasing it as a question, so we would have fewer words. Crystal and I worked on this together in a meeting. We came up with just a few ideas to give people the impression of what we were trying to do here, and then that we want their input. The JH0 by the door on the house is a comment, and it's not going to be there in the final document. So I changed the date is April 9th. Is that correct for our public meeting? Right?
Yes.
Okay. And then people can join virtually or come to City Hall. And then I also created a Gmail account called portorfordhousing@gmail.com. And if I have the, password for that handy, I'm not going to announce it. But, and then we have credits at the bottom, and that's it.
This looks really nice.
Thank
This
you.
is Very good. I like it.
Thank
Looks
you.
really nice. Thank you.
Oh, so that's that is the second page that Joseph printed. It's a comment that I made in PowerPoint
Oh.
that is not going to be there
It's
on
not
the,
gonna be there.
no. I didn't realize that there was a comment in the doc. Oh, here it is. It printed out the comment on the
Oh, on the
second
back.
page. Yeah, but it's not going to be in the final. It was just my notes from talking to Greg.
That's really.
I'm
nice.
really happy with
Thank
this.
you.
Great
So
job.
it looks to me like we could use this as flyers.
Yep.
And We could use it as posters?
Yeah, we can also use it, we can put it online for people to click on and view on the city
Email?
website, email, we can send it via email. If we have a list, an email list.
So that's a question of how we're going to distribute this.
I would
and-
convert it to a PDF first and then, that should fix that. I don't know why it didn't print out correctly, but,
We should give this to Lori's mailing.
oh, Lori's
She's got-
mailing list?
Yeah. she's
Yeah.
got 250 or.
Oh, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. So raise also, we can put it at the city's billboards.
Is this
The
something that,
laundromat and
Laundromat.
post office.
something
and
that
around
you
the
do?
office. Yes, that's
oh, boy.
Yeah,
the
oh
most
boy.
part.
So,
I don't know about the mailing list, but I can get it posted around
Okay.
town and.
Yeah,
on
we
the
can, I
website.
can send it to Lori or
So
Sarah.
I'm going to
can. Yeah.
put posting is you.
Well, Joseph, I'm hoping Pat brings before the city council this next time, I should get together with you, the flyer that we're doing for emergency preparedness on house numbers. You know how we're putting those, well, we're requesting a permission to put those in the utility bills. That's what we're going to come to the city council for.
All right.
We could perhaps do that with this flyer
I
as
don't know if
well.
we'd have room.
Yeah,
There would be enough room in the envelope for two.
No, I mean room in here. If anybody actually came, if more than 50 people came.
I doubt you would get that many people
Well, I don't
showing up.
know. We used to get,
I think there's also actually the matter of how much will fit in the envelope because we already do put, from what I understand, 2 pieces in the envelope, and our auto stuffer only takes 2 pieces. So I
Auto
don't know if we
stuffer.
could-
The auto
yeah.
stuffer.
Yeah, the one that the thing that stuffs all the bills into the envelope.
So we should talk because can we at least see if it'll hold 3
what's this 200 and some?
pages?
I don't think it will, but if talk to
Emails.
Pat about it and Pat can come in and, talk to Melissa and maybe we can figure
Yeah,
something out. But my
because I was
my
kind of
gut is to
hoping on
say
that.
no on that, unfortunately. Not that I wouldn't want to, just it's a matter of technical limitation.
Yeah.
We were really close to, that's a little bit,
No, well, I was suggesting it for this, but it may not work
What
out.
is this 250?
Oh, Lori Crowdy has a list.
yeah, has an
Like
email.
a community
It's a
email list.
variety of
Can you hook that, her
Yeah.
up with that? So
Okay, that would be
Commissioner
great.
Lovendall will hook her up with that.
Okay.
So
This is really wonderful.
if everybody likes it as is,
I
then
like it.
I'll convert it to a PDF and make sure, get rid of the comments and fix the fit issue. And then, yeah, we can just start distributing.
So the sooner that this
I'll
can
send it to
happen,
you,
the
Joseph.
better,
Okay,
I think.
Okay.
Because
yeah,
we've
I'll
got it
do it.
scheduled.
Yeah.
I mean,
tonight
if
or tomorrow.
anything happened and the council needed the space or something, we'll find a place. We'll just,
Okay.
I
Yeah, the
mean,
community building.
yeah, we could always
No,
post
we've got
or
the
something.
library.
Yeah.
We got the
Oh.
library booked
I can also make an announcement at Rotary.
for this.
Yeah.
We do?
You
Yes.
probably
I
know
thought you had
this,
it for the.
John, but if you
Oh.
save this as an interactive PDF
that
and you have live
They're
links
doing
in it,
this,
like
these
for the,
chambers.
Unless-
Yeah, for the email.
Yeah,
for the
because-
email
yeah,
and
because
also
the reason we
for
needed
the
the
virtual
library for the
meeting.
site
Mhm.
is there was a long
For, to put in
it
people's
should keep
calendars.
it
Yeah.
live.
date that we were
Mhm.
planning for it.
You want to do it here?
I think so.
Question.
Oh, that's why.
We have a new city manager,
Yeah, that's why we were doing it.
Melissa.
Find
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
Is
it.
she going to be attending our planning commission
Okay.
meeting?
Who?
Okay,
The
well,
city
then I guess-
manager?
All right.
City
If
administration.
she has time, she probably will sometimes, but
Has
she
she
probably
started?
can't come to all of them.
Yeah, she started on Monday. So
Okay.
let me rephrase. She started yesterday.
So
Mhm.
is there anybody who goes to social media that has a group in Port Orford that would?
There's Port Orford Networks.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's Port Orford Conversations and then Port Orford Networks.
So would you be putting this on there?
Yeah,
a
I
good
would
idea.
give it to Wiz to put on Port Orford Networks. I could do it on Conversations. I don't know if we want to put it on News and Views because there's people from all over
Yeah.
on that.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Networks.
There's
Yeah.
calendar now too,
Yeah, the community calendar.
Right.
Susan, we can ask Wiz and Susan to.
senior center.
You know,
calendar.
if we did this in MailChimp, you can check the social media boxes. So you could post it on Facebook automatically. It would
Hmm.
go out to like Lori's list.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I have the bandwidth to set that up this week. And then we would need to add all the emails into the list and everything.
Yeah.
You know, so
True.
Let's do
But-
what we can.
yeah, community calendar.
I mean, we're lucky to have
Facebook,
people doing.
Joseph's gonna do, you're gonna do this distribution throughout town of the printed.
Oh, that makes it sound like I'm going door to door. I'll get it at the laundromat, the post
Yeah,
office.
the public places we talked
Great.
about.
Yeah, or.
And we should have some
library.
in here, Joseph.
Yeah, and around the city hall.
Yeah.
No, I'm expecting like the water situation, door to door, every house. No?
Oh,
Okay.
no, sorry, I can't do that. I don't think I'm getting paid to do
All right.
that.
Anything more on the flyer?
Oh, yeah. So you're gonna, you're gonna go to a Rotary
I'm going to go to
and
Rotary.
you're gonna take some of those?
Oh, you're going to Rotary?
I'll take flyers. Yes,
Great.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
You want me to put you in touch
Oh,
with,
later.
you want me to put
Yes,
you in touch
please-
with Gary
please
Anderson?
Send me the person
A different.
and I'll make a little, I don't know, 5-minute presentation or whatever.
Yeah.
Great.
They might need I mean, they look for a presenter every month. It's usually like 10 minutes.
And I will invite like contractors to come
That would be.
Yeah.
and I'll,
There's builder types there too.
yeah, builder types.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I like that.
Okay.
And then we have, and you know, we have this Gmail account now. We have this Gmail account. So if they don't want to come to the meeting,
Hmm.
they can submit some stuff to us.
How often does Rotary meet?
Like the third
Every
one.
week.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday. I'll try to
Mhm.
get it next week then.
Okay.
So are you going to finish this and email a copy to us, or
To
how
Jo-
are we going to
To
get it?
Joseph.
Oh,
Yep,
Joseph.
maybe
Yeah.
then I'll email it out to
Mhm.
everybody.
All right, good, thanks.
Whatever. I'll
Are
see.
you
what they-
gonna let
Yeah.
Dave Bassett know?
Anything else
Yeah.
on the flyer?
Actually told him today,
Are we covered?
Okay.
but he'll be at Rotary.
Okay, I'll just count on everybody to do everything, and I'm gonna try to get in touch with the newspaper and see what they want from me. So send me a good one of these
Yep.
when you get it done.
Okay.
And I can print them off wherever I
And then
need
can
them.
you let me
Okay.
know if, do we know
So
for
are
sure?
you
that-
talking about the Porterford News, Matt
I
Hall?
don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
And I'll probably try to have some quotes from this guy in it.
Two other women.
Okay,
Face.
just let me know.
You know, up Porterford.
And I'll,
Yeah.
and I'll book the library if we have to. Okay, moving along. I'm gonna,
Okay, I did want to point out.
I believe we're done with the
I just
flyer.
wanted to say that there's a little square, there's an agenda for the meeting. It's going to be like this. For introductions, an overview of the agenda, the purpose of the meeting, and a little presentation of some kind of info. I got new word now. PowerPoint. Infographic information. Actual PowerPoint. Anyway, with a few things that I'm pulling off the internet and everything, just to give them some thoughts. And then a few things like this 1,000 square foot thing of what, you know, that we have to take that out because of state laws, because that would limit everybody and we don't need that. That there's a whole bunch of 8 required. And then just put up some pictures of tiny homes, the railroad, not the boxcar or whatever. Those things, just things to stimulate discussion, and we'll just go through them well, we're not even going to go through them. We're going to have some brainstorming of different things that people want to say and just take it all down and limit the time. And then we go to, you know, doing chart writing, and he's going to run the meeting and keep
Okay.
people quiet while I'm writing this stuff down so
Mhm.
that we can get it off. And then we summarize, and then we go around and ask people to have their final comments, and we get done. We are trying to limit this to the exact 2 hours.
With regard
Sounds
to
good.
that, would it be a good idea to have some cards that people, if they don't have a chance to
We're
talk?
going to have a, what you talked about before, quick surveys for
Mm-hmm.
them to complete them, and then they'll have a place for the notes on that.
Okay.
And we are going to go through everybody, and we're going to say one sentence only, know,
Mm-hmm.
or,
Summarize.
you know, but, you know, no speeches or you're going to get stopped.
Or like 1 minute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because if you have 20 people, that's 20 minutes right there,
Mhm.
you know, if everybody gets a minute. So you really, you know, we really have to just get through and try to get everybody to have their say.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's
I'm
gonna
sorry.
be-
That's great.
But I
This
just
looks
wanted
really
them to
good.
know, yeah.
Looks really good. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to hold off on the other agenda because we're over our time. City planner comments,
No.
planning commission comments.
Nope.
I would like to comment. Thank you so much for being here and doing this work. It's not easy, and you guys are dedicated. You folks are really dedicated, and I appreciate it. Also Joseph and Crystal.
Please keep track of your time. Just even for your own use to know and be proud of the time that you give to do these things, because it's one thing coming to meetings, but if you guys are studying stuff, making infographics, all the things that you're probably doing, keep track of it.
Keep track of your
And
time.
then you'll turn it in to Joseph.
It'll look good.
Yeah, you'll have to change the
Are there-
headings.
Does anyone online have any public comments, considerations? No one online?
Joseph,
The next meeting will
sorry.
be April.
I had a question for Joseph real quick. Are you tracking our time during the meetings? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Our next meeting is April 2nd at 3:30 PM. This meeting is adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned at 5:36.
What?